Hey guys, what's up? Rob here from Forge Steel. Wanted to do a quick video on this KYFE Mini Sauna tent. When I was doing my research on these, it looks like there's 4 or 5 manufacturers in the US, or sellers that is, of these types of tents. They're all relatively similar, but I found KYFE to be the most affordable with what looked like to be the best quality in my opinion, based on some other stuff that I read. There wasn't a ton on the Mini. I had originally intended on putting this on a much smaller space, but it was too close to the house, so I wound up putting it in the back of the tent, or in the back of the yard here. Wish I would have got the larger one based on that, but here's a quick review of the Mini and sort of what it's all about. Give you a quick walk around the tent here. The only other sort of negative that I found so far is really just when you have this rain cover on right here, it's sort of blocking the vent. That vent really has no way to stick up. So stuck a little twig in there and kind of have this propped so I can keep it on when it's raining and let the airflow out. If you read a little bit about saunas and stuff, especially wood fire, you really got to keep the airflow going. So other than that, like, I don't have this thing staked down because I'm on a turf yard right now, so I've got a cheap kettlebell laying on top of it right now. And we've had 40 to 50 mile an hour winds so far in this backyard since I've had this up, and this thing's gone nowhere. That stove is really heavy, and then the benches on top of it that I have in there are definitely heavy as well. So a quick walk around. There's a bunch of different windows here which you can open. Usually try to keep those closed because I think it keeps the heat in a bit better, but there you can see where the chimney's popping out. All right, so I'm inside here, out of the weather from the Pacific Northwest. It's dumping rain today. So when I purchased this, I purchased the Mini with the accessory package that included the ladle and the bucket, as well as some hats, which have actually proven to be quite useful. They keep you from overheating once you're inside. And then I also picked up some extra stuff, which I think are probably relatively critical to the tent and using it in normal operation. So got a CO2 detector, which is not super accurate, I'm sure, but I was just worried about CO2 buildup inside of the tent. So far, all my readings have been really low, if any at all, so nothing of concern. I also picked up a Govee digital thermometer that basically tells me what the temperature is when I'm outside the tent after I've lit it, to kind of give me an idea of when it's ready. So I'll put all the links and the extra stuff that I bought in the description below. And then a wood carrier, just to carry my wood to and from the tent when I'm getting the sauna ready. So directly from KYFE's website, they claim that this is a 2 to 3 person insulated tent. I have had 2 people in here very comfortably with the benches. You can kind of see how I offset them here inside of each other just to add a little more room, and then turn the stove a little bit to the side here so it works a little bit better, but definitely 2 comfortably. You could fit 3. It'd be a bit of a tight squeeze, but I think you could definitely make it happen. I'm not sponsored by them. I'll put a link to this tent below. I did reach out to them. If you click on the link, I get a small commission, and then I'll put a coupon code below too that you can get $50 off as well, that they gave me to give anybody. But these are my opinions. I paid for this tent with my own money. But overall, it's been great so far. I'm coming from using infrared saunas all the time, and I wanted to avoid that cost that I was spending every month, which was roughly $170 or $180 a month, which seems a bit ridiculous. And I've got about 20 uses into this thing so far, so I love it. I think it's a great alternative to throw something up in the backyard that's temporary and you can move around. Like, I have no intention on putting it in my truck and packing it all up and taking it out to a river like some of the videos and stuff. I'm sure that'd be awesome, but probably a lot of work. So I do split the wood down to smaller pieces to fit better in the stove. Found that to be a better fit overall, to pack more in there. And then I also have some fire starters that I bought from Amazon on the cheap. Put that stuff below. Gets it going pretty good without having to have a blowtorch or anything like that. And then I lay a base down of these tiny pieces of wood, which I buy by the box, also on Amazon. So I think I found the most cost-effective way to do it, in my opinion, and most convenient. So I'm sure there's better ways to do this stuff, but I usually start by putting a base down inside of the firebox. So I'll start with these, and then I'll usually throw one large log in as well as a smaller piece. And then from there, I just take 2 of these fire starters, sometimes 3, just for fun, to make sure that it gets going. I shove them down on top of that base wood that I laid. Usually within 15 to 20 minutes, this thing gets to about 130 or 140, at least at the surface level where I leave this thing sitting, which is usually good enough to get in and then start putting water on the rocks, and that heats it up. So in the end, to replace my infrared sauna usage and stuff, so far I'm really happy with this thing. I think the only drawbacks that I found so far is that, the stove is a bit smaller, and I'm guessing that's because it's the Mini, and so it doesn't fit a full piece of firewood. And when I say full piece of firewood, I'm just talking about stuff that you buy at a store, normally about 14 to 16 inches in length. I think the box is probably about 12 inches. So if you're custom cutting your firewood, that'd be awesome. You could stack 12-inch pieces, most likely, probably more realistically 11 to 10, and that would be pretty awesome, for the tent. Other than that, I honestly haven't found too many things. The tent heats up to anywhere from, at least at the surface level, according to this Govee thermometer that I picked up, it heats up to about 160, 165 down low. And then the thermometer that they sent up here usually gets me to about 180, 190. I can usually tolerate about 15 minutes in here, and then I have to step out for a couple minutes to cool down, and then I can jump back in for another 3 or 4 minutes. But I'm super happy with it. Again, knowing if I would have known that I was putting it in this larger space, I would have tried their larger tent. Again, I would assume that the stove is a little bit larger with the larger one for bigger pieces of wood. But if you have a compact place and you just got 2 people that are going to be going in this thing, it's fantastic. Just to give you an idea of how large it is, I'm 5'9", and I can basically stand up in here and move around without much issue. I'll show you how I can lay down on this bench as well. So pretty comfy overall, I'd say, especially for one person. So overall, I'd absolutely recommend this to anybody that's looking to get into sauna tents. It's a cheap, affordable way to have a sauna in the backyard. Use it all the time. I love the wood fire aspect of it. Feels a bit old school, which is kind of nice. Definitely gets the heat cranking. So thanks for dropping by and forgiving me for the silly hat. But again, it keeps you from overheating while you're in here. All right, peace.